On page 1 of our Bibles, we're introduced to a framework of ideas, a set of essential truths that form the building blocks of our lives. And with those truths in place, we're equipped to live life skillfully. We know what life is for because we know the life giver. Now, in this conversation, we're going to be talking about essential truth number 3, and that is that God separates. Here's Genesis 1 through 5 again. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. And when God made light on day 1, he separated the light from the darkness, giving definition to it. And then the rest of the record follows. On day 2, God separated the waters above from the waters below. On day 3, he gathered together the waters below, separating the seas from dry earth. And then he filled the earth with vegetation, making distinction according to their kinds. On day 4, he filled the skies with light, further distinguishing the day from the night. And on days 5 and 6, he made animals. He separated them into their proper places, the seas, the air, the land, each special according to their kind. And finally, God made man, making him in his own image, setting him apart from and above over all creation. And then within humanity, God made further distinction. He made them male and female. See, on each day of creation, God is making separation. And if we were to picture page 1 of our Bibles as a sort of song, each day marking out a rhythm, then these separated parts create a harmony, with each part submitting individually to the melodic whole. There's a unity without uniformity. There's a peace that flourishes with a completeness and a compatibility, collaboration as everyone plays their part. And within that separateness, God created the capacity for love, because now us is more than the empty echoes of me. In the beginning, God looked out on all his creation and saw that it was very good. And separateness was something to be enjoyed and to be celebrated. But today's separateness is distrusted. And there's something dissonant and dark and troubling about it all. Now, how did that happen? Well, on page 3 of our Bibles, when humans first rejected that God had made them distinct in their unique function as image bearers of God, it disrupted that order. It created a separation that was out of tune with God's melody. Separation was twisted into enmity. Jealousy, strife became the norm. Envy, bitterness, opposition became a way of survival. Self-satisfaction, self-preservation, self-promotion, self-seeking, hatred, fear, distrust, shame. Without playing to the melodic line, all we hear are competing lines of noise. We misjudge differences. And instead of seeing separation as a way of belonging to God's creation, we manufacture artificial separations. We form tribes in order to condemn them who are not like us. We're afraid to be different, because we see differences as power struggles. It's either an opportunity to prove the superiority of my set, or it's a threat to my position. And worst of all, the separation that was introduced into the world brought with it death. A separation of the human spirit from the body and the human spirit from the Spirit of God. But the God who speaks into the world sent into the world his word, which became flesh. And the God who sees sent into the world his light, and that light was the life of men. This is Jesus, the God-man, who put an end to that separation, who sought to bring an end to the enmity. But it would cost him a sort of separation as well, a rending of the body and the soul to renew and restore the harmony that God had intended from the beginning. He broke down in his flesh the dividing wall of hostility. He himself is our peace. So now in Christ Jesus, the God who sees, the God who speaks, the God who separates, he calls us to be separate unto himself. He calls us to be separate from a world of darkness and of death, a world full of sin. And he invites us, he calls to us to belong to him, where we see God as a father to all peoples who belong to him, peoples from every tribe, from every nation, from every tongue, calling them brothers and sisters, sons and daughters of the Father. What's this life for? Page 1 of our Bibles resonates with the truth that we were called to harmonize with God.